Hi, everybody. This is Steve Lemonov here with ATN, and I want to welcome everybody to another segment of ATN Nation Live. I wanted to welcome the audience and kind of speak to you face to face and, kind of give you an update about what's going on today in the world of ATN. We've had a record year last year, doing fantastically, thanks in part to all the loyal customers that we've been able to obtain over the years of providing fantastic products, coming up with new innovative technologies like the ThOR 4, which we'll be talking to you guys today. We've expanded our customer service. We've been having a lot of calls and inquiries from our customers for support because of a record-setting year that we had last year. Customers, having sometimes trouble figuring out how to use features, how to use products. So, that's why we're doing some of these segments to kind of dispel some of the misconceptions, some of the ways to do things better when using ATN products. Also wanted to kind of let you know that, we listen to you all the time, and we hear that sometimes you have trouble getting in touch with us. We've onboarded about 10 plus new customer service agents recently, onboarding them, training them so they could give every customer a 5-star experience. And that's what we strive here at ATN, to provide every single customer a 5-star experience. And today, I want to actually welcome one of our pro staff members, Jacob Tugger. He's a mild-mannered commercial pilot by day, but a coyote and hog slayer by night. Jacob, welcome to the program.
Hey guys, how you doing today?
Thank you so much for joining us. I want to kind of talk to you about your day job. It's a dream of mine to fly. My brother, actually, lucky SOB, has been able to get some fly lessons here around our area, and it's a bucket list item for me. I want to hear from you, what it is like to be up in the sky constantly and actually traveling with your rig. I want you to tell us about how you travel with your rifles, your optics, when you go, fly to different locations. And I believe you're able to squeeze in a hunt here and there.
Yeah, absolutely. So the day job's awesome. I've been a commercial pilot now going on about 16 years, anywhere from small planes on up now to the 737. It's been a great time. There's nothing better than the view out the window from almost 40,000 feet, going 600 miles an hour. You can see everything. See it for days and days and days. And it's a blast. There's nothing better than running the neatest technology in the skies and continuing to do what you love, and then.
Yeah, the avionics are insane. When I board the plane, I always peek in the cockpit, and the instrument panel is just, I don't know how you guys do it. It's just so much information that you have to kind of process and consume while making sure that everybody in the back is safe and, the flight goes out without a hitch.
Yeah, the technology, it's evolving every day, just like technology around the world. The airline industry, it's ever evolving, and it makes it safer and easier for us to do our job and get people from point A to point B safely as possible. And traveling with the stuff, it's really not that complicated. For me, I always take the optics off the gun. Optics go into my backpack.
Especially our optics have internal lithium batteries, so you have to take them and check in with you. You can't check them with your guns. Am I correct on that?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, anything with a lithium battery, they're going to want on board the airplane. That way, in case there's ever an issue with it overheating, they can fight a fire on the airplane and stuff like that. They won't let you check the lithium batteries.
And you have a funny story, right? You have a funny story recently, right? Tell us about it.
So I was coming back from a trip, going through TSA, had my backpack. I had about 6 ATN scopes in there, all of my battery packs for the coyote calls, all of my charging ports, everything electronic was in my backpack. And you can imagine what a bunch of scopes look like and a bunch of battery packs look like going through a x-ray machine.
Dynamite.
yeah, it looks like a big explosive. So it goes through TSA, it comes out the other end, and they're like, real polite, hey, sir, we need to go through your bag. And I'm like, yeah, I get that. We go through it every time. It's organized in there. Just be gentle. There's a lot of money and a lot of equipment in there, and they're always respectful about that. So the TSA agent opens my first zipper up, and out falls a battery pack that's taped up, because I always tape up the electrical ends so they don't ever touch. And
What does it say? What does it say?
The battery pack reads C4 right on the front of it. That's what hits the counter. And she kind of looks back at me and she's like, sir, I said, it's not. I promise it's not. She goes, it's not what? I said, I am not saying the word, but it is not what it looks like. And at that point, she's like, I don't really like you, and we got a whole bag to go through still. And so we went a little bit slower emptying the bag, and then every piece went back on the x-ray belt. All the optics came out of their bags. All the batteries came out of their cases, and, it scanned right through. And then comes the conversation. What are these things? Why do you have them in your bag? And, so then it's an explanation of what they are. And half the time I'm turning them on, showing the TSA agents, a quick clip of the thermal, and
then they get their buddies around. I've had that experience also coming into the airport, or checking in my gear as well. Yeah, it's fun. When all the TSA agents starts huddling around you, and start showing them it's a product demo in that case.
Right? Yeah. Now the phone comes out. We're showing videos of the hog hunts or the latest coyote kill and all that stuff. And before you know it, there's a whole bunch of people around you looking at the videos while you're trying to pack your bag up and make a flight, and it's fun. Just take your time, be patient with it, and give yourself a little extra time when you carry this kind of equipment on an airplane.
Absolutely. Tell me, you predominantly hunt only coyotes and hogs, or do you have other animals that you like to hunt, like bear or turkey or deer? What's your experience overall in the hunting world?
So for me, most of it nowadays is Michigan coyotes, fox, raccoons, stuff like that for people around there. With my airline job, I'm gone 4 or 5 days a week. So I've got a wife and 2 young kids at home. It's not fair for me, and I don't like to leave for 5 days and come home and be like, hey, I'm going deer hunting for 2 days with the buddies. But for me to come home, hang out with the family all day long, put the kids to bed, let my wife go to sleep, and me leave at 10 o'clock at night with a couple of friends and come home at 3 o'clock in the morning. We've been out hunting all night. It allows me to continue to do what I love to do. I still do. I get out deer hunting a little bit, but nowhere near like I used to. I still duck hunt, goose hunt, that kind of stuff. But nowhere near like I used to do prior to marriage and kids. So mostly now it's all night, unless I go on a trip down to Texas, out to Montana, and going hunting like that. But it's a lot of fun. It allows me, ATN allows me to continue doing what I love to do in the middle of the night.
Well, how did you get into ATN? Did you come across the brand by yourself? Did a friend kind of expose you to that? Did you have experience maybe with other brands or, traditional night vision? Tell me kind of the journey that you took to kind of become an ambassador for ATN. You've been with us for about 4 years now, I believe.
Yeah. So ATN for me started about 8 years ago. Me and my buddy were living in Texas. We would travel 2-3 hours to go to a ranch and hunt, and you get out there for an evening hunt, and all of a sudden the hunt's over 3 hours later and you're driving back home. Yeah. So we started looking up a way to extend our hunt, and it was mostly a hog and predator ranch that we hunted on. So we started out with a green laser to see at night. Then we went with
one of those spotlights, right? They have like green and red lights, right?
Yep. And this is actually before the bright LEDs came out. This was called like an ND3 laser. It gave like a 6-inch circle diameter hole that you could look through.
Yeah.
Then we went to a Generation 1 monocular. Looking around with that. I don't even remember what the brand was. It was kind of when digital night just first came out. Then that wasn't enough for us. So then I wound up picking up the ATN PS22, the clip-on unit.
Right.
And that kind of changed the game for me a little bit. Then, no matter what the light was, I had at least 100 yards of shooting. And for the ranch, 100 yards was about as far as we ever shot. So hogs and coyotes and stuff like that kind of kicked off our night game. We moved back to Michigan, started getting into some coyote tournaments, and I was the only one running night vision. Everybody else was still running lights in my group. We did one tournament for the first year we moved back, and my buddies were like, man, I need some night vision. So they went out, picked up the X-Sights. I think it was the X-Sight 2 that they first started playing with.
Right.
I was still running the traditional night. And then a couple years later, you guys came out with the 4K series, and I'm like, man, that looks awesome. So then I picked up the 4K, and we were running a different scanner at the time. We're like, man, the thermal scanner and the night vision scope,
Hmm.
Like we don't ever need to upgrade from that.
Right.
And then the ThOR 4 series hit, and I'm like, my wife's going to kill me when I tell her I'm spending a lot more money on hunting gear. So out we go and buy the ThOR 4. I bought the ThOR 4 384 4.5, and that optic was amazing. Pairing it up thermal on thermal, there was nothing better, And I think we were in about our third tournament that time, and then I reached out to you guys, just inquiring about pro staff, and started a Facebook page and was doing a lot more videos and stuff like that since I was able to record. And you guys picked me up as a pro staff. Like I said, I've been doing that now 2.5, 3 years with you guys, and the optics have improved. I've gone now to the 644 power, and that thing is just, in my opinion, there's nothing better out there. You get the eye relief, you get the traditional scope look, you can record. I show my dad as soon as a hunt's done, I send it off to my dad and show it to him as soon as I edit it. Usually by the time we're out of the field, I've already got the video downloaded onto my phone, clean it up a little bit, send it off to my dad, even if it's 2:00 in the morning, and
Yeah,
it's worked really good.
And that's great. That's what I love to hear. It's those moments you share with friends and family from those irreplaceable moments that you go out hunting. Hunting is a holistic experience, right? You're with nature.
Yep.
You're sometimes solo, sometimes with friends. It's a unique experience. It's something that you can't really verbalize it or describe it. You have to experience it for yourself, even if you haven't really been like hunting, especially at night where it's pitch black. You can't see 5 feet in front of you. You can't see if especially if you're hunting coyotes and they're smart and they're winding you. You can't see where they're coming from if you don't have any kind of equipment like night vision or thermal. So it's the excitement factor is like 100-fold. I've done it several times. You're an experienced hunter. You've been doing it for a while now, and the gear just lets you do some incredible things, see incredible things in pitch black. And the video quality, you mentioned that. How is the video quality from the ThOR 4? We see a lot of different videos. We see a lot of great videos. We see some poor videos, but that's because of environmentals. If you don't set the settings correctly, or environmentals like humidity, which is a detriment to thermal, there is, it affects the quality of the not just what you see in the optic, but in the video itself. So, could you speak to that? What's your experience? How do you adjust to the environment? Do you adjust the settings often when you hunt?
Yeah, so when I'm hunting, I actually change the settings almost every hunt because the weather variables are changing constantly. At night it's slowly getting cooler. Everything's starting to become the same temperature. So when the night first starts, and if it's been a sunny day and the trees are warmer than the ground and stuff, my sensitivity is pretty low, and that way it kind of keeps a clean picture. Well, as the night cools off and everything kind of becomes the same temperature, you got to turn the sensitivity up, and that kind of keeps your picture really good for you. Another thing I noticed is, a lot of people don't focus. They don't change the focus up front, and they get kind of a distorted image.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I've noticed
people forget you have to, depending on the distance to target, you need to, in order to see a nice crisp image, you have to focus to range. It's not an auto zoom. I
Right.
wish it was, but it'd be extremely expensive to make the optics mechanized, so it'll adjust the focus automatically. You need to be cognizant of that if you want to have crisp, clear imaging. If the target comes in closer or is a little farther, you need to make minute incremental adjustments to the focus ring to get that good picture.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, with mine, anywhere from about 50 to 150 yards, the focus for me stays pretty good. But if I get one in real close, I'm adjusting focus. If I get one out there pretty far, I'm adjusting focus on it. So I normally go focused for about 100, and that covers me pretty good unless I get one coming in real close.
Well, yeah, you have the ThOR 640 with a 4x base magnification. With that native optical base magnification, you have a lot of more leeway to having the target come in a little bit closer because it has the native optical zoom of 4x. And then if you want to, kind of see something farther, a couple hundred yards, you would use the digital. When you're using the digital, the image quality, it degrades because, again, you're using digital zoom, and if you've been around, thermal, you understand that every time you double the magnification on a thermal product, your resolution is pretty much cut in half, right? And so you have to kind of play with the zoom and have a happy medium of magnifying and seeing the target and being patient to have the target come in so you can have better visual and to identify the target, because you don't want to, shoot the neighbor's dog or a cow.
No, definitely not.
Or something else. That's, you're not hunting basically.
No, absolutely not. For me, the 384, I could take it almost up to 10 power and still get a clean image. The 640, I could take it just about to max and know what I'm shooting at. But at that point, if you're zooming all the way in, you're talking well outside 200-300 yards looking at an image. And most hunters, you're not shooting that far. You look at probably 90% of the hunters, 100 to 200 yards still a long shot.
Especially at night with very poor depth perception, because unless you've hunted the area before and know landmarks and ranges to those landmarks, knowing the distance to target is very difficult.
Yeah,
from personal experience.
Yeah, absolutely. Through thermal, it's very hard, especially if you haven't seen that property during the daylight. A lot of people will call me up now and say, hey, we've got a coyote issue. Can you come look at it? First time I ever see their properties at night, so then it's getting on a phone and looking at an app to kind of get the outline of what it is and doing some marks or get the ABL paired up. And when I get out to a field with that, I'll range different parts of the field. And then I have an idea of the distances that I'm shooting, and after looking through the thermal for a few years, you start to be able to get an adjustment for what the depth is, but it takes a long time to learn what it is, and I'm still not great at it.
Right. You mentioned the able. Do you use it on all your hunts or some of your hunts? How do you like the combination of the ThOR 4 with the able?
I love it, especially for nighttime, and especially for a new hunter. If you don't really know distances like we're talking about, the way I normally use it is I will go out to a field and I will range certain spots of the field, the long spots, and see where my shots are. Mm-hmm. If the field's not really outside of 300, I kind of leave it off at that point. If I've got longer shots, I will usually set, I like the first focal plane reticle, because your initial point of impact stays the same where you zero it. And then when you range it, you get a new mil dot that drops down.
So you're talking about
two ranges set.
So you're talking about our smart mil dot reticle that we have in the scope,
yes.
Right? You like that one the best.
I love it. It's the only one I use.
It's actually very unique because you're an outlier. A lot of people think that reticle is kind of complicated. Can you kind of walk us through the process? I'm assuming coming from hunting during the daytime, you've used mil dot or MOA type reticles before. So how to use those hash marks and to adjust. Do you set it on a specific mil or MOA in that reticle for your preference? Because we have that capability in that reticle.
I set mine to mils because that's what my traditional glass is set at. And I can't run a perfect calculation and tell you distance and stuff via mil dots like a lot of people can. But I like being able to have the thin crosshairs versus a big center dot. That helps out a lot for me. Mm-hmm. And then, like I said, I will range something out to about 300 yards, and I'll leave a 300-yard mil dot set for me to shoot and my traditional 100-yard zero. Mm-hmm. So that way, if I know they're out there further, I at least have a holdover on them and see where they're at. I was actually just shooting it the other day on steel out to 400 yards, put my bullet into the scope, program the coefficient, the velocity, scope height, all that stuff, and was making 400-yard shots with a 2 mil drop, and it was consistent every single time of where it was supposed to be.
Nice.
So
do you use the teal dot when you pair it with the able, because it gives you where the holdover, so you don't have to kind of guess with the hash marks? I think it's a really cool feature.
And that's what I like. That's what I like about the first focal plane. Is you have that holdover. So I have one at 100 yards, mm-hmm. which is where the crosshairs are, and then it gives that teal dot at 300 yards. So then I have just an idea of where that holdover is going to be for me every time. And it doesn't move the reticle ever. It just moves that teal dot, which I think is amazing.
Yeah, it's great technology. How about battery life? Have you ever been on a hunt where you thought that you're going to run out of battery with the ThOR 4?
Only if I've accidentally left it on overnight, which has happened. But no, I mean, we've hunted, we do really long, well, not real long tournaments, but 3-day tournaments up here. And by the second night, I'm down to about half battery. After that morning, I'll plug it in and let it charge back up. But most of the time, my rifle will sit in the safe with the scope on, and maybe after 4 or 5 hunts, I'll throw it on a charger. But yeah, the battery life on these is just phenomenal.
Yeah, and we pride ourselves on the industry-leading power management system. I don't think
Yeah.
anybody could really touch us in terms of battery life in thermal product at this point. And we continue to strive to bring new technologies to the marketplace, which I want to kind of segue to another feature that I enjoy. You mentioned you have kids. How old are your kids?
My boy's 7, my daughter's 3.
Perfect. Have you started your son, shooting and hunting? Because, with the Wi-Fi and streaming to a mobile device, I show my son, in the backyard shooting pellet rifles, how to, hold over, how to aim, how to do those things. Have you started with your son using some of our tech?
For me, it's easier to get a kid on the optic like this. It's hard to teach a kid, at least for me, to teach a kid to figure out where his head placement needs to be able to see the reticle. With ATN, you turn the brightness up and you watch the screen on his face. And when the screen brightens his eye up, you can say, hey, this is where you need to look every time. And it actually shows them.
Is it because the kid, kids may not understand how eye relief works, because we do have a 3-inch eye relief on the scope, and you have to kind of know optics to a certain degree to kind of get a full field of view in the scope.
Yep. And when they look through there, they don't always know where to place their head to be able to actually see through the scope. They think if they just look behind it, they'll see through it.
Right.
With these, they can see a lot better. Plus, if you pair it up to your phone and go live on it, you can show them what they're supposed to be looking at. And then when they actually shoot and you're recording with it, you can pull the video back up and say, look, this is how you move to the scope. This is what you did. And this is why your bullet hit where it hit. So it's a great teaching product for them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. How about, at night, what's the longest shot you've ever done paired with the ABO and the ThOR 4?
Farthest confirmed kill I have is 305 on a coyote. And that was paired up. I knew the distance on it. Took the shot. It was 1 shot on a coyote, and he just dropped. Wow. Longest shot on steel is just outside of 400. And like I said, that was just the other day on the 8-inch steel. I'm now looking for 1,000-yard range out here. Some of my buddies' farm fields are big enough. My goal is to take the ThOR 4 and the 4K Pro out to 1,000 this year.
Wow. Yeah. I hope you'll record it, because I'd love to see that kind of shot. One of our other pro staff members, Josh, he did a 458 SOCOM video with 1,000 yards, and then using the ABO and then bringing it back right away and doing a 100-yard shot, which is incredible with a 450 grain bullet there. But yeah, you use bolt action, as I see on your table there. What rifle do you have?
Bergara HMR and 6.5 Creedmoor.
That's a great platform. Is it your is it your favorite platform, or do you have others? Do you typically only use bolt action, or do you use carbines or like AR platforms?
I prefer the bolt gun. There's something for me about running the bolt that I enjoy. And I know if I run an AR platform and I've got that real fast follow-up shot, my first shot's not always as good as it should be. In the tournaments and stuff, usually like a 3-man tournament, I'll make sure somebody's running an AR. That way we've got the quick follow-up shot. There's been times where I've taken long shots and that quick follow-up shot would have been great. But no, this one right here is my favorite platform as of right now.
Has a nice flat trajectory. 6.5 Creedmoor is a really powerful, great round.
Yeah, it's a good gun.
That's good to hear that. Now, anything else you'd want to kind of share with the audience and us about your experience being on pro staff, some of the hunts that you've been? We'd really love to hear more about your hunting experience.
The neat thing about it, and not just the pro staff side, but the whole thing with ATN and stuff is, you can take your gear somewhere else. You can record a hunt. bring it back, share it with family. So when I go down to Texas, I go out to Montana. Every one of my hunts is recorded now. So when I come home, I can sit down with my dad and stuff and pull them up on the TV and show him how the whole hunt went down. Or even if he's down in Texas with me and he's sitting back at the ranch house with some of the other buddies, and I can come back with 2 coyotes or a couple of pigs and stuff and sit down and say, hey, look, here's the video. Here's how the whole thing went. Or I can show them a video of when I miss, and then they can all laugh at me for a long time.
Sounds like you're living the dream, buddy.
It's a lot of fun. I really enjoy doing it.
Well, Jacob, I really appreciate you joining me with this segment. I've had a great time talking to you today. I hope everybody enjoyed us talking about everything that's going on here at ATN, about Jacob's experience, not just as a pilot, but as a pro staff member. Hope you join us in the next segment with ATN here. We'll see you guys later.